Hello everyone, don't forget about the drawing. I've got something really strange to share, something that honestly feels like it might be messing with my head a little bit. But I'm hoping someone out there has had a similar experience, or at least something close. This might get a little weird, but bear with me. So, here's the thing, I've always felt a deep connection with nature. I grew up in the woods, pretty much every weekend spent hiking, camping, and just being around trees, streams, and all that. But what I didn't know, what I never imagined, was that nature could connect back with me. It started one rainy afternoon last fall. I was out in the forest near my house, the trees heavy with moisture, the air crisp and fresh. I don't know what drew me to that particular patch of forest that day, but I found myself kneeling next to a cluster of mushrooms, those small, almost glowing mushrooms that seem to pop up out of nowhere after a good rain. And, no joke, as I knelt down to touch them, I felt something. Like an electric pulse. Just a soft tingle, but enough to make me pull my hand back. I thought I was imagining it, but the more I thought about it, the more it felt real. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and it happened again. This time, though, it wasn't just a tingle. It was as if the mushrooms responded. It's hard to explain, but I swear, I could feel their thoughts, if that makes sense. Their presence in my mind. I didn't know what to make of it. Was I just losing my mind? Some weird psychological thing? But it felt too real to ignore. At first, I didn't tell anyone. I mean, how do you explain something like that? I kept it to myself. I spent hours researching the connection between humans and mushrooms, trying to figure out if there was some ancient knowledge or maybe even a scientific explanation for what was happening to me. But then, things started getting a little stranger. Okay, so, things didn't stop at just feeling connected to the mushrooms. The more I went back to the spot in the forest, the more the connection deepened. It was like I was slipping into the strange, almost trance-like state where I could sense the environment around me more vividly than before. Every rustling leaf, every shift in the wind, every tiny movement of the mushrooms themselves. But, honestly, it wasn't all peaceful. The first time it really hit me that something was wrong, I was walking through the forest and I felt this pain. It wasn't my pain. It felt like the forest was hurting. Like something was wrong, something deep down beneath the earth. I tried to brush it off as just my imagination running wild, but it wouldn't go away. That's when I started to notice the changes in the mushrooms. They weren't growing in the way they should, their colors were off, some were bright red, others deep purple, and they seemed to pulse like they were alive in a way I didn't fully understand. I touched one, and that's when it hit me, the mushrooms were dying. Slowly, but surely. Their energy was fading. I knew I had to do something about it. I tried digging around the mushrooms, thinking maybe it was something in the soil, or a disease spreading through the forest. But no matter what I did, I couldn't stop the decay. It was spreading fast, like the forest itself was rotting from the inside out. The pain I felt from it wasn't just emotional anymore, it was physical, too. My head would throb, my chest would tighten. Every time I went to check on the mushrooms, it got worse. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just about mushrooms. It was about the whole forest. The entire ecosystem was hurting, and I was starting to understand that it wasn't just nature, it was Mother Nature herself reaching out to me, trying to warn me about something much bigger. But here's the thing, I didn't know what it was warning me about. Was it pollution? Climate change? Deforestation? Something else entirely? I didn't have the answers, but I could feel it in my bones, something had to change. So, yeah, after that, things got worse. A lot worse. I started feeling obsessed with it. The pain from the forest was always with me, like a constant weight on my chest. I spent all my time trying to understand what was happening. I started hearing voices. Not like actual voices, but whispers. The mushrooms? The trees? I couldn't tell. It was like nature itself was calling out to me, begging me to help. But the more I tried, the more I felt like I was losing control. I remember one night, I was out there at the edge of the forest, my hands in the dirt, just trying to find some way to stop it. That's when I saw her. A figure, standing just beyond the trees. She wasn't human. She was like part of the forest, her skin almost bark-like, her eyes glowing with that same strange light I'd seen in the mushrooms. She spoke to me. Her voice was soft, almost comforting, but it had a strange edge to it. "You feel it too, don't you?" she asked. I nodded. I didn't know what else to do. "Then you must understand. Nature is dying, and you are the last one who can save it." I didn't understand what she meant. But something about her words clicked. I had to do something. But what? How? The figure, sheep, was gone by the time I looked up. It was like she melted into the trees, like she was part of the earth itself. But her words, her presence, they stuck with me. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Who was she? What did she mean by "you are the last one who can save it"? I tried to reason it out logically. Maybe I was just stressed. Maybe the constant exposure to the mushrooms in the forest was messing with my head. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't ignore it. I had to do something. I started researching everything I could about ecosystems, the balance of nature, and even mythology. I dove into old texts about the connection between humans and nature. There were mentions of guardians, protectors of the earth who could communicate with nature on a deeper level. The more I read, the more it felt like I was starting to piece things together. But it was also clear that I was getting in over my head. I could feel the forest deteriorating faster each day. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been chosen for something. That something was calling me, pushing me to act. But what was I supposed to do? I wasn't a scientist. I wasn't some environmental activist. I was just a teenager trying to make sense of the chaos in my mind. And then, one night, I made a decision. I couldn't wait anymore. I couldn't just watch this happen and do nothing. I needed to act. I didn't know how, but I needed to find a way to stop whatever force was hurting the forest. Maybe I didn't have all the answers, but I had to start somewhere. And so, I set out to find the source of the pain, to understand the true nature of what was happening, and maybe, just maybe, to find a way to stop it. I couldn't do this alone, though. I knew I had to bring someone in, someone who could help make sense of everything, someone who wouldn't dismiss me as crazy. But honestly, there was only one person I could think of: Maddie. She was my best friend, and she had always been the one person who believed in the weird stuff I talked about. No one else would understand the intensity of what was happening, and I needed someone who wouldn't make me feel like I was losing my grip. I wasn't sure how to explain it to her at first. I mean, how do you tell your best friend that you've been talking to mushrooms and having visions about a dying forest? It felt insane. But I trusted her. So, one night, I drove out to her house, knowing I couldn't keep this from her any longer. When she answered the door, I just blurted it out. "Maddie, you have to come with me to the forest," I said. "Something's happening there, and I need your help." She raised an eyebrow. "You okay, dude? You're acting like you've been talking to mushrooms or something." I hesitated. Then I just took a deep breath. "Actually, yeah. That's exactly what's been happening." Her eyes widened, and I could tell she was trying to decide if I was messing with her. But after a long pause, she nodded. "All right. If you're serious about this, I'll go. But you're explaining everything along the way. I'm not just going to wander into the woods with you blindly." So, we packed up the car with flashlights, snacks, and a couple of notebooks for taking notes. I had no idea what we'd find, but I felt like I was finally taking the first real step toward understanding what was happening to the forest, to the mushrooms, to me. The drive to the forest was silent. My mind was racing, thinking about everything I'd learned, everything I was feeling, but I wasn't sure how to put it into words. Maddie, ever the skeptic, kept looking at me every now and then, as if trying to read me. But she didn't say anything until we parked near the edge of the woods. "So, what exactly are we doing here?" she asked, her voice light, but I could hear the concern hidden beneath her casual tone. I took a deep breath. "I think something's wrong with the forest, Maddie. Like, it's hurting. And I'm the only one who can hear it. I need you to help me figure out what's going on." She stared at me for a second, then nodded, like she was deciding whether or not to believe me. All right. Let's go find out what the hell is going on. And just like that, we stepped into the forest. The air felt heavy, thicker than it should have been. Something wasn't right. And Maddie could feel it too. She didn't need to say a word for me to tell that she was uneasy. As we walked deeper into the woods, the strange hum I had been hearing for days started to pulse in the air. The trees seemed to shiver as if they were alive, but not in a good way. Maddie's flashlight flickered once, then twice, and I saw her glance at me, confused. Before she could say anything, the mushrooms caught her attention. There was a massive patch of them nearby, even larger than the ones I'd seen before. But this time, they weren't glowing in the gentle way they had before, they were throbbing. Almost like they were alive, like they were breathing. I don't know what's going on, but that's not normal, is it? She asked quietly. I shook my head. No, it's not. And it's getting worse. As we approached the mushrooms, the air grew colder. Not just the temperature, but the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes you question what's happening around you. Maddie looked at the mushrooms with a mix of fascination and fear, her flashlight dancing over their oddly pulsing forms. I've never seen mushrooms do this before, she muttered, stepping closer, but I could see her hesitation. What are they doing? Why do they look like that? I didn't have an answer. I only knew that the closer I got, the more intense the pull became. It wasn't just my mind now, my body felt it too, like something was connecting with me on a deeper, primal level. I wasn't sure if it was the mushrooms themselves or something older, something wiser, but it was undeniable. The force was there, and it wanted me to understand. Then, without warning, the ground beneath us trembled. It wasn't a massive earthquake, but it was enough to make us stumble. The forest felt alive in a way that was unsettling. And just as quickly as the tremor came, it faded. I looked at Maddie. She was scanning the trees, her flashlight now shaking a little. That was odd, she said, though I could tell she was doing her best to stay calm. I nodded, but my focus was elsewhere. I had to know more. As I stepped closer to the mushrooms, I felt my hand reach out almost without thinking. I was barely touching them when the air shifted. It wasn't just the pulse of the mushrooms anymore. It was as if the entire forest was breathing, a collective exhale that echoed in my chest. I heard something, a faint whisper at first, so soft that I thought I might have imagined it. But then, it became clearer. The trees were whispering. I can't explain how I knew, but I could hear it, deep, resonant voices, not human, but somehow familiar. They were speaking to me, telling me things I didn't fully understand, things I didn't know if I wanted to understand. It is too late, child. You must choose. The voice was cut off by another tremor, stronger this time. I jerked back, pulling my hand away from the mushrooms. I wasn't sure if I was still hearing the voice or if it was something in my head, but I felt like the forest was screaming at me, urging me to act, to make a decision. Maddie was wide-eyed now, her voice shaky. Okay, that was not normal. What is happening? Are you hearing that too? I didn't answer at first. I was trying to process the whispers, trying to make sense of the warning I'd just received. The forest, it's alive, Maddie. And it's in pain. There's something wrong with it. She looked around, as if waiting for the trees to start talking to her too. I saw the doubt in her eyes, but there was a flicker of concern beneath it. What do we do now? That's when I knew. The decision I'd been putting off, the one I'd been afraid of, had to be made now. Whatever was happening, it wasn't just some coincidence. It wasn't a dream or a weird chemical imbalance. There was something far bigger at work here, and I was already tangled in it. We need to find the source of the decay, I said, my voice steady despite everything churning inside of me. Whatever it is that's hurting the forest, we need to stop it. Before it's too late. And just like that, we started walking deeper into the woods, towards something unknown, towards something that would change everything. We didn't talk much as we ventured deeper into the forest. The weight of everything felt heavier with each step. I could feel the presence of the mushrooms around us, like they were watching, waiting. Maddie kept her flashlight trained on the path, but I could tell she was more focused on the strange energy that hung in the air. The hum, the whispers, they were all getting louder, more insistent. We didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. But every instinct in me told me we were heading in the right direction. It wasn't even a conscious decision anymore. It felt like the forest was pulling us, guiding us, pushing us toward something, the thing. The source. It was almost like the forest was alive and breathing with us. The deeper we went, the more intense the feeling became. The trees, the soil, the mushrooms, they were all linked, and they wanted us to understand. We were getting closer to something ancient, something powerful. Then, out of nowhere, we came across a clearing. The moonlight filtered through the trees above, casting an eerie glow on the scene. At the center of the clearing was a large, twisted tree. It wasn't like the others, this one looked sick. Its bark was cracked and oozing a dark, viscous liquid, and the roots were tangled, reaching outward like they were trying to escape. The air around it was thick, almost suffocating. Maddie gasped. "What the hell is that?" I didn't have to say anything. The answer was clear. The tree was the source. It was the heart of the problem, the center of the decay that had been spreading throughout the forest. The whispers were coming from it, and the mushrooms? They were the first to feel the effects, the first to respond to the pain radiating from the tree. I stepped forward, my mind racing. This tree, it wasn't just a tree. It was a symbol of everything wrong with the land. It was infected, corrupted by something far beyond what I had understood. Something ancient, dark. "Whatever this is," I said, more to myself than to Maddie, "it's not natural." Maddie had backed away slightly, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "You're telling me this thing is what's causing the decay?" I nodded. "I think it's the root of it. Whatever's happening here, this is where it started." I took another step toward the tree, feeling the pull stronger than ever. I wasn't afraid, not yet. I had to get closer. I had to understand. The voice from earlier echoed in my mind, "You must choose." I reached out, my hand trembling as I touched the tree. Immediately, the world seemed to shift. The forest around us seemed to bend, warping like it was underwater. The hum turned into a low, agonizing moan, and I could feel the pain seeping into me, into my chest, into my soul. The tree's life force, whatever remained of it, was trying to connect with me, and I could feel it. The ancient sorrow, the decay, the desperate need for salvation. But then came the rage. It wasn't just a natural sorrow. It was anger, pure, overwhelming rage. And suddenly, it wasn't just the forest that was alive. I was alive, too. I could feel everything, every tree, every mushroom, every blade of grass, every speck of soil. They were all screaming, begging me to do something. To fix it. To stop the pain. But the rage wanted something else. It wanted to destroy. It wanted to fight back, to tear down everything that had caused the rot. It wasn't just about saving the forest anymore. It was about revenge. I pulled my hand back, gasping for air. This is wrong. This tree, whatever's inside it, it's not just suffering. It's angry. Maddie was looking at me like I was losing it, her face pale. Dude, we need to leave. This place, this is bad. Whatever that thing is, it's not something we can fix. But as I looked back at the tree, I felt something shift inside of me. That anger, it wasn't just the trees. It was mine. The anger at how the world was treating the environment. The destruction, the pollution, the greed, it was all feeding into this. It was feeding into me. And in that moment, I knew something else. I wasn't just here to save the forest. I was here to fight back. I didn't know what it would cost me, but I knew I couldn't walk away now. The air around the twisted tree was thick with something unholy, like it was alive in the worst way possible. Maddie was still standing there, visibly uncomfortable, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the tree. It was like it was calling to me, no, demanding something. I could feel its sorrow, its rage, and somewhere deep inside, I felt a twisted part of myself connect to it. This wasn't just about nature anymore. This was about something much deeper, something primal. The world was being suffocated by its own destruction. The forest was fighting back in the only way it knew how. And in that moment, I knew I was a part of this fight now. "Maddie, we can't leave," I said, my voice shaky but determined. "This is bigger than us. Bigger than the forest. It's about everything." She shook her head, her voice tight. "No, this isn't you, man. You're not. This is some messed up forest disease or whatever. You're not supposed to be connected to it like this. You're supposed to save it, not become part of it." But it was too late. I wasn't just an observer anymore. The forest had spoken to me, had chosen me, and now there was no going back. The path ahead was clear, even if Maddie couldn't see it yet. "Maddie," I paused, looking at her, my chest tight with a mix of confusion and clarity. "I know it's hard to understand, but this anger, it's not just the forest's. It's mine too. It's all of ours. We've been poisoning this planet for so long, and now nature is fighting back. It's not just about saving it, it's about stopping the destruction. If we don't do something, it'll be too late." She took a step back, her eyes wide. "But what are you even talking about? This is insane. You're saying that you're going to what? Destroy everything? Become some kind of eco-terrorist?" The word hit me like a slap. Eco-terrorist. I'd never thought of it that way before. But as I thought about it, it fit. The anger, the desperation, the need to make people understand that they couldn't keep destroying the earth without consequences. I wasn't here just to heal the land. I was here to force people to listen. To force change, no matter the cost. "I don't know," I said slowly. "But I can't walk away from this, Maddie. The forest, it's asking for help, but it's also asking for vengeance. It's pushing me to fight back. To do something." Maddie's face twisted in disbelief. "You can't be serious. There's no way you're really thinking about going that far. This is insane, and you're letting it get to you. What happened to the person I knew?" I wanted to explain more. I wanted her to understand, to see what I was seeing. But it was hard. I didn't even know if I understood it myself. The pull of the forest, of the mushrooms, of the pain and the rage, it was overwhelming. But it was real. I felt it in every fiber of my being. "I'm still me," I said quietly, my voice hoarse. "But the world isn't the same anymore. And I can't sit by and watch it burn." She didn't say anything more, but the hurt in her eyes was clear. She was scared for me. And honestly, I was scared too. But I couldn't back down now. The forest had become a part of me, and there was no turning away from that. So, I made a decision. I couldn't just sit in this forest and wait for someone else to act. I had to do something. I had to fight. "I don't know what's going to happen next," I told Maddie, my voice trembling with the weight of the choice I was making. "But I'm going to make sure the world sees what it's doing to the earth. I'm going to make them listen. The forest wasn't just a place anymore. It was a call to arms. And I was answering it." The days that followed were a blur. Maddie, still trying to process everything, started distancing herself from me. I couldn't blame her. How could anyone understand what was happening when even I didn't? The whispers from the forest had grown louder, more insistent. They weren't just voices anymore, they were thoughts, feelings, images of what was happening to the world. Of what had been happening for years. The deforestation. The pollution. The poisoning of the land. The earth itself was suffocating, and I had to act. I started small at first. I couldn't just go to the government or the corporations and demand that they stop everything. They wouldn't listen. So, I targeted places where I could make an impact. A factory that had been dumping chemicals into a river. A logging company clear-cutting a section of old-growth forest. I sabotaged their operations. I didn't hurt anyone, but I made them feel the loss. The disruption. I made them feel something. Maddie caught wind of what I was doing, and when she confronted me, her voice was full of tears. You're becoming a monster, she said. You're hurting people. You're not the person I knew. I wanted to explain. I wanted to make her see the bigger picture. But I couldn't. She wasn't ready to understand, and part of me knew she might never be. This wasn't her fight. It was mine. I remember one night, standing in front of a massive logging site, the lights of the trucks flashing in the distance. I felt the anger surge again, the pull of the forest, the pain of the earth under my feet. I knew what I had to do, but a part of me hesitated. I closed my eyes and let the forest's energy flow through me. I could feel the mushrooms, the trees, the soil, all alive with emotion, all alive with a single purpose: to protect, to heal, to reclaim what had been stolen. I reached out, my hands trembling as I whispered a silent prayer to the earth, to the mushrooms, to the ancient spirits of the forest. Then, the ground trembled beneath me. The trees groaned, their roots shifting, moving like they were alive. And that's when I realized this wasn't just me anymore. The forest had awakened, and it was with me. I wasn't alone. The next few days were a blur of chaos. The logging companies couldn't figure out what was happening. Equipment malfunctioned. Trees seemed to grow overnight, blocking roads and disrupting operations. The corporations were losing money. People were confused, scared. They didn't understand why things were changing so fast. I didn't stop. I couldn't. The forest had given me a voice, and I was using it to make sure the world felt the pain it had been causing. I wasn't an eco-terrorist, as Maddie had called me. I was a protector. A force of nature, finally standing up for the earth. In the end, I realized that I had become something different, something new. The anger I had felt, the rage that had come from the forest and from within me, had led me down a path I couldn't turn back from. But now, it wasn't just about destruction. It was about balance. About making the world see that it couldn't keep taking without giving back. It wasn't enough to just protect nature anymore. I had to make sure that everyone understood the consequences of their actions. I don't know if Maddie ever forgave me. I don't know if anyone will. But I do know this: I'm not the same person I was. The forest has changed me. And now, I am the one who speaks for it. I become its voice. Its rage. Its salvation. And I'll never stop fighting for the earth. Conclusion. So, if you're reading this and you're on the edge, if you feel the call of the earth in your chest, don't ignore it. Don't let the world keep destroying what we have. The earth is alive, and it is screaming for help. Sometimes, we need to fight back, even when it feels like it's too late. Don't wait until you're drowning in the consequences of inaction. Start now. Take a stand. Do what you can. It might be small, but it's enough to make a difference. If we all listen to the whispers of the earth, maybe we can still change things before it's too late. It's time to make the world feel the pain it's caused. And if that makes me an eco-terrorist, then so be it.